First at noon, new video of the aftermath of the deadly New Year's fireworks explosion in Aliamanu. You can see victims of the blast being treated by first responders near Keaka Drive. Officials said most of the 20-plus patients who were transported to hospitals were critically injured with burns over much of their bodies, including a 3-year-old boy. An additional 10 to 15 people suffered what were considered minor injuries. And as authorities continue their investigation into what happened, loved ones are starting to identify some of the victims of this tragedy. A GoFundMe page has been set up for Charmaine Benigno, who lives by the home where the explosion took place. Her family says she is currently in the hospital fighting for her life. They say the mother of 2 young boys has severe injuries that will require extensive medical care and a long road to recovery. If you'd like to help them, head to our website, hawaiinewsnow.com, for a link. And the tragedy is Hawaii's deadliest fireworks incident in 14 years. Authorities have confirmed 3 fatalities, but that number could rise. And HPD's police chief says the explosion was caused by what's called a cake with roughly 50 illegal aerial rockets in it. It fell over and fired into a carport that set off more fireworks inside.
Either it tipped over or a table it was on tipped over based on the high heat it was generated from the fireworks, the cake they call it. And that, once it turned sideways, lit off the rest of the fireworks that were nearby. And that's what caused the mass explosion.
This incident is a painful reminder of the danger posed by illegal fireworks. They put lives at risk, they drain our first responders, and they disrupt our neighborhoods. But most heartbreakingly, this tragedy was entirely preventable.
Officials say this was a mass casualty incident with more than a dozen ambulances involved, and the narrow streets made it difficult to respond. Medical teams had to set up a triage area nearby, and then dispatch had to coordinate which hospitals to send them to. EMS says 3 children were among those transported in an ambulance. Governor Green describes the grim scene.
The truth is that people had traumatic injuries so badly that brain material was across the sidewalk from the ferocity of this explosion. And we want people to hear that, because that is what is really possible with these explosive fireworks.
We did not actually transport a lot of patients with minor injuries, but I remember a 12-year-old girl with burns on her legs and some shrapnel, and some family members with shrapnel, and then just a lot of kind of 30s and 40-year-old walking wounded, so to speak, that found their own ways to the hospital.
The focus for EMS was to transport anyone with life-threatening injuries instead. Mayor Blangiardi says illegal fireworks have gotten out of control, and officials are once again vowing to crack down on the pipeline of illegal fireworks into our state. There is now a criminal investigation into who set off that illegal cake, whose fireworks were being stored in the carport, and where they came from. And as cleanup continues, neighbors are still trying to cope with the tragedy. Ben Gutierrez has more from Keaka Drive.
Much of the debris from the fireworks tragedy has been cleaned up. However, the damage, both physical and psychological, is still hanging and visible over this Aliamanu neighborhood.
Nice boom. I thought it was 12 o'clock. I thought it was the grand finale, but it was the worst finale that ever happened at the end.
Roscoe Kalilikane and several other Keaka Drive residents spent most of the day cleaning up the rubble from explosions.
I'm just here to help out where we can. The neighborhood all stick together, yeah. Everybody's here to help.
Among the debris, PVC pipes that are used to launch aerials. The explosives that were ignited in the garage ripped through everything, splintering wood, shattering virtually every glass window and door of the home. Broken glass is everywhere.
Damage the windshield, the headlights, left and right, and then the side mirror also, and then the center mirror inside.
Purungao's car was one of several damaged. Windows are also shattered in homes across the street. Neighbor Kala'i Kalilikani was there moments after the blasts.
Yeah, another boy was laying out on the side over there. He's asking me for help. I don't know who he was. He had passed away supposedly. I look to my right, I had another auntie laying under all the stuff.
The debris is being collected in plastic bags and being hauled away in vans and trucks. One of the residents of the second floor, his hand still bandaged, arrived, and he was hugged by the neighbors, but he avoided reporters as he went inside to survey what was left. Neighbors are trying to make sense of how the night of celebration became so deadly.
This is what we look forward to, so it's like, you know what I mean, when something like this happens, it's unexpected. We're not over here making bombs like everybody thinking and stuff like that.
I grew up loving fireworks and stuff. I've done my share, but I'm not even worried about fireworks right now. I'm just worried about helping the family go through this time of grief. It's just a bad thing. Nobody wanted this.
In Aliamanu, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
On Kauai, nearly 160 nurses at Wilcox Medical Center have voted in favor to authorize a strike. They had until 8 p.m. last night to cast their vote. The nurses have been working without a contract since August 31st, and negotiations have been underway for 7 months. Meanwhile, on Oahu, the management of the Queens Medical Center is questioning the accuracy of a strike vote by its nurses. The Hawaii Nurses Association said on Tuesday that 90% of the 1,900 nurses at the Punch Bowl and West Oahu hospitals voted to authorize a strike as they negotiate for a new contract. Queens responded yesterday, saying that after 43 bargaining sessions in the past 9 months, it's disheartening to see the union steering its members down a path that could negatively impact them. Queens says it's offering pay raises totaling 13% over 3 years, allowing a nurse with 5 years of service to make $77 an hour. The management said the union has been pushing a public rhetoric about battles and wins, and this should not be a win or lose situation. The union responded, calling the hospital statement condescending and saying it creates further distrust. Well, the FBI now says that the pickup driver responsible for a deadly rampage in New Orleans acted alone. Authorities say 14 people were killed and dozens more were hurt when a truck intentionally rammed into a crowd of people in the city's famed French Quarter. Katie Weiss has the new details.
The FBI now says the driver who plowed into a crowd of people in a pickup truck in New Orleans on New Year's Day acted alone.
There is just nothing to indicate through call records, through anything on those devices, through interviews, through anything in our systems that he was aided in this attack by anybody.
Investigators called the actions of Shamsuddin Jabbar an act of terror, saying the U.S. citizen and Army veteran proclaimed his support for ISIS in several videos he posted shortly before the attack.
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote.
The FBI searched Jabbar's house in Houston Thursday. Among the victims killed in the attack were 28-year-old former Princeton University football star Tiger Besh and Reggie Hunter, 37-year-old father of 2. Back in New Orleans, Bourbon Street reopened to pedestrian traffic Thursday afternoon ahead of the start of the Sugar Bowl, which was delayed a day because of the tragedy.
No terrorist is ever going to derail life in the United States. And I think that's what we want to do today is really enjoy this game in memory of those people who lost their life.
We have a record of being able to show we can provide safety, and we're going to do that again.
Police say they've ramped up security, including adding heavier equipment to block the intersections. Katie Weiss, CBS News, New Orleans.
Meanwhile, federal and local police are investigating a truck explosion outside of President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel as a possible act of terrorism and to determine whether it is connected to the terror attack in New Orleans. Nicole Skanga has more.
Police say they're now very confident they know who set off the bomb inside a Tesla truck outside of President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel. Authorities say they believe 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger was the driver of the Cybertruck, but the body was burned so badly they're still awaiting dental and DNA records for 100% confirmation.
There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body.
But there is still a lot of work to do to figure out why Livelsberger shot himself and detonated a bomb in the truck.
It's not lost on us that it's in front of, of the Trump building, that it's a Tesla vehicle, but we don't have information at this point that definitively tells us or suggests it was because of this particular ideology or any of the reasoning behind it.
The search for the why has led the FBI to carry out search warrants at Livelsberger's Colorado Springs home and locations around the world where the Army Green Beret soldier had served. Authorities have confirmed Livelsberger and the attacker in the New Orleans New Year's Day attack both rented their trucks through the Turo app, and they both served in Afghanistan at around the same time. But it's not known if they had any connection.
These turned out to be simply similarities, very strange similarities to have. And so we're not prepared to rule in or rule out anything at this point.
Officials did express surprise at the rudimentary nature of the bombing, saying that they would have expected more sophisticated materials from someone with Livelsberger's background. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Washington.
Here at home, new developments in a rollover crash on Hawaii Island. We've just learned that the driver has died. 74-year-old Donnell Worrells flipped his SUV after striking a rock wall on Eleele Street in Waikoloa Village at around 5:30 Wednesday evening. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but passed away this morning. Police have opened an investigation and requested an autopsy. And they're asking anyone who witnessed the crash to reach out at the number on your screen. This is the second traffic fatality this year compared to 0 at this time last year. The State Department of Transportation is expanding its camera network to catch drivers who run red lights. After a 2-year pilot program at 10 key intersections in town, the state is planning to propose 10 more locations next month. The DOT says the $200 citations have helped to reduce red light running by up to 70%. The state is still studying where to put the new cameras based on traffic flow and violations.
Thank you very much. On this Thursday, let's give you your first alert weather headlines. We've got a northwesterly swell that's going to be due today and bigger waves on the way for Sunday, warning signs. So heads up for those that are going to be in the north and west facing shorelines. Sunny to partly cloudy skies, and we do have trade wind weather with us, which means windward mountain showers drifting leeward at times. Trade winds today, light winds tomorrow. Coming up in just a couple of moments, I'll go through your full forecast here on This Is Now.
Thank you, Billy. Ahead on This Is Now, police need your help solving some cases. We're checking in with Honolulu Crime Stoppers in 2 minutes. Plus this.
Consumer Reports is out with its list of the most reliable vehicles, including the Toyota RAV4. I'm Bradley Blackburn, and I'll tell you which automaker came out on top.
Welcome back. It's time for our weekly crime roundup. Joining us now is Sergeant Chris Kim with Honolulu Crime Stoppers. What 3 cases do you have for us today?
Okay, this first case is basically a porch pirate case. This case happened on Friday, December 6, 2024 at about 4 p.m. This female was captured on the complainant's Ring doorbell camera, stealing some packages that had just been delivered. She can be described as an unknown female in her 40s, approximately 5 feet to 5 feet 5 inches tall, medium build, long brown hair, tan complexion, wearing a black shirt. She may possibly also be a resident of this building. This happened off of Kua'uka Loop in the Aiea area. The second case is also a porch pirate case. This happened on Monday, December 2nd, 2024 at about 3:37 p.m. This male suspect stole the complainant's package over off of Kilauea Avenue. I believe this is in the Kaimiki Kahala area. He's been described as an unknown male, fair complexion, slim build, wearing a white shirt, blue pants, and fled in this orange-colored moped. And finally, our last case is theft in the second degree. On Monday, December 9, 2024, at about 7 o'clock p.m., this male entered the Colt store over at the Waikele Shopping Center, then grabbed a whole bunch of bags and then fled. Total value, I think, was almost $2,000. He's been described as an unknown male, wearing tan complexion, average build, wearing glasses, white tank top, and black pants. All 3 cases we talked about can be seen over at the www.honolulupd.org website, bottom left-hand corner, under wanted persons.
All right, thanks for being with us today. All right, and let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. Billy V is going to have your full forecast in 2 minutes.
Let's go ahead and jump into that first alert weather full forecast here. We'll give you starting with the waves in the ocean. First of all, we do have a high surf advisory in effect. That's going to be for the north and west facing shores of most Hawaiian islands. That's going to be from Maui all the way up to Niihau. You can see that highlighted in the bright pink. And then the lighter colors is the small craft advisory, and that's going to be until 6 p.m. tonight for select Hawaiian waters, mostly around Maui and Hawaii Island. Here's the numbers as far as the surf is concerned. 14 to 18 feet today. That's advisory level, and they'll be increasing even more as we get towards Sunday. The west side is going to get 9 to 12 foot surf. Everything else is smaller than that. Let's talk about what the day is going to be like for you today. And it's going to be a fair amount of sunshine, so that's going to be really nice. Few clouds here and there. The easterly winds, that's trade wind weather, but it will be gusty at times depending on where you are. If you're on Maui, it's definitely going to be gustier than that. Those gusts could reach up to 25 miles per hour. And then of course, we'll get some nice clear skies and crisp temperatures in the overnight hours. Now, Kilauea volcano is still erupting. This was this morning at about 3 a.m. You can see the, of course, the caldera of Kilauea volcano Aliamanu crater. Now, how this is going to affect us as we get into the 7-day forecast. Trade wind weather today, so that's going to be nice. You see the big waves here. You can see the video there for the next 3 days. But also, fog could also affect the forecast. We're talking about light winds on Friday. That's kind of a transition day. But as we get Saturday all the way through Wednesday, there's the possibility that all the islands could see fog if the volcano continues at its current rate. We'll be watching it closely here on your First Alert weather station. Back to you with This Is Now.
Time to see what the internet is talking about. There is a lot to consider when buying a new car, including finding one that's not going to break down. Bradley Blackburn takes a look at what experts found searching for the most reliable vehicles.
At the Consumer Reports test track, John Linkove analyzes all types of vehicles, and on this day, he's taking the Subaru Forester for a spin.
People love their Foresters. They come back year after year, generation after generation.
The Forester is one reason why Subaru tops the list of Consumer Reports' most reliable brands.
This year, Subaru has climbed to the top of our brand rankings, and they leapfrogged Lexus and Toyota. Subaru really has a strong lineup in terms of reliability. They keep what's great, and they made a little bit of change over time.
Toyota may have slipped from the top spot, but the automaker still has several of the most reliable vehicles on the road, including the RAV4 and the RAV4 Hybrid.
They're just building it well, they're not making massive changes, and they're just keeping focused on it.
Electric vehicles did not fare well for reliability. Consumer Reports says EVs have 42% more problems than hybrids and gas-powered cars. Tesla ranks 17th on the list of brands, and Rivian is at the very bottom. Linkove says people who want an environmentally friendly car they can count on are better off with a hybrid.
Hybrid is a known technology for almost every manufacturer, and they really are reliable. In fact, hybrids tend to be the better performing version of a model.
Linkove says it's important for car owners to do their research, not only to find a reliable vehicle, but to make sure it's the right fit for you. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Battling cancer together. I'm Danya Backus with how a rare diagnosis led to a timely friendship for two young boys.
always like to end the show with some good news now. Two young boys share a special connection. They became friends while battling the same cancer and then undergoing the same ultra-rare surgery. Danya Backus has their story.
I'm better at sports. I'm better at sports. I'm better at sports. I'm better at sports.
I don't do sports.
Competition between 11-year-old Noah and 10-year-old Wally helps to keep them going on days like this when they have physical therapy. The two forged a unique bond, meeting at Children's Hospital Los Angeles as they were undergoing treatment for osteosarcoma, a rare and aggressive bone cancer that accounts for about 3% of all childhood cancers.
Treatment for it is pretty intensive. Kids require, somewhere between 6 to 9 months of chemotherapy and usually a big surgery.
The surgery Noah and Wally had is called rotationplasty, which with a prosthesis turns the ankle joint into the knee joint. Dr. Alex Christ is the boys' orthopedic oncologist.
We remove that part of the leg with the tumor. We keep just the nerves and blood vessels that go down to the distal part of the leg. And we actually put the leg on 180 degrees backwards. So the foot is actually pointing backwards.
Noah and Wally had their surgeries 2 weeks apart. While cosmetically challenging, rotationplasty prevents the need for more surgeries as the boys grow. Their parents leaning on each other as they navigate the extremely rare cancer, even rarer surgery and treatments.
What are the odds for them meeting? They have the same diagnosis and same type of surgery.
It's good to talk to someone who's going through something, the same thing you're going through. I mean, the exact same thing we're going through.
A camaraderie that extends from patients to parents, bonded by the journey to becoming cancer-free. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
That is so sweet. And it was a frigid start to the new year for some people in Italy. This year, 3 divers jumped from a bridge into the icy waters of the River Tiber in Rome Wednesday. The annual competition has been celebrated on the first day of the new year since the year 1946. And take a look at this. Colorado's Cheyenne Mountain Zoo welcomed a baby sloth to end the year. Now, this sloth was born on December 18th, and the zoo says its mom is a 9-year-old two-toed sloth who was brought to the zoo as part of a survival program for the species. Right now, the baby is bonding with its mom before it'll be shown to the public. Absolutely adorable. Sloths are one of my favorite animals, and you can see them at the Honolulu Zoo, actually, if you get a chance to. Let's take you for one last look outside before we say goodbye with our tower cam looking out at Aloha Tower. We're going to have more headlines coming up first at 4 right here on KHNL. And stick around. We have all updates on air and online at hawaiinewsnow.com. Thanks for watching.